Hey everybody, Gary with Basecamp Trading. Take a look at how we were trading the ES today. The ES was some pretty tricky trading today. You can see on this 30-minute chart, see all these wicks and see how these bars were pushing down and leaving bottoming wicks and topping wicks. That is a very difficult chart to trade. When you're getting this kind of action, this is price moving up and moving down and in big swings, but back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can see in the afternoon session, we had this doji pushed up here to resistance and then pulled all the way back down. We had a really bearish bar right here, leaving topping tail, the whole body of the bar selling, and then we got a big strong push to the downside, and then the buyers stepped in and left this big long wick right here on the bottom, and then this was all buying on the body of the bar, left a little topping tail, and then we had this really bullish bar that triggered this reversal doji back to the upside, got a close back above the 50 and the 200, but then we left this big topping tail right here, and we had this bar open and it pushed down a little and then reversed and ended up closing up here. The whole body of this bar was buying, left a topping tail. This bar opened right here, left a topping tail, and then pushed down. Buyer stepped back in, left this bottoming wick. All these bottoming wicks showing a reluctance for the ES to sell off, but it kept trying to sell off. And this bar opened here and pushed all the way down, and then they left this topping or this bottoming tail right here. Then the next bar opened, same thing, pushed all the way back down to the 15,200. Actually broke underneath it a little bit, and then the buyer stepped back in again and left this giant bottoming tail and this reversal bar right here. Set up the 30-minute bull flag, and then we had another really bullish bar trigger this to the upside. A bar open right there, little wick to the downside, and then this entire body of this bar was all buying. This was the signal that we actually traded, because again, the ES was just a mess throughout the afternoon. It was really hard to trade the ES today. We were in trade a couple different times, and uh, we had some news that flushed us out of one, and then we got this just really weird price action, which didn't really want to do anything with. But then left this really bullish bar again. This bar opened right here. Sellers sold it all the way down, actually broke under the 50 and the 200, and then the buyers stepped in and left all these sellers in the dust. This whole bottoming wick, this is all sellers getting left behind. And then this next bar triggered it to the upside, and we got a nice strong push to the upside. We had some upside targets. We had our initial upside target was 31.77. Then we had the mid up at 83.5 and another line at 90. Ended up poking above 31.90 by a little bit, but tagged out the two main targets that we were after, and gave us some decent profit for afternoon trading. And this is how we were actually trading that on the Unorenco chart. Right here is where we ended up triggering that reversal bar on the 30-minute chart to the upside. Because you can see right here, this is where we were leaving that big bottoming tail. We left that big bottoming tail on that reversal bar. And then, right in here is where we had that little tiny wick that was at the top of that bar. Here, let's go ahead and we'll look at that bar again just for clarity. See, so right in here, that move up on the Unorenco chart, that's where all the buyers were stepping in. And then that little pullback on the Unorenco chart, that was this little topping tail, this little wick at the top of this bar. And that bar ended up closing right here. And then the next bar had the little push down, and then that's what triggered that wick out of the cloud. And we triggered above this reversal bar right here, and that's when we made our move to the upside. So again, that was happening right here on the Unorenco chart. This is where that big bottoming tail was being left on that 30-minute bar, and this is where we pushed up, left that little tiny wick at the top, pushed down, and then right in here is where that next bar opened, had that little tail at the bottom, and then right in here is where we triggered back above the reversal bar, the previous reversal bar. Took an entry here. We had a power line right there. So this was a more aggressive entry. Took that with a small position, added a little bit here on the resistance break, and then we went up there and hit our targets again. We went up tag 31.77, and then we had the mid at 83.5, which we were feeling pretty good about. We had another level at 31.90 and actually pushed above that, but I actually exited at the mid. I was feeling pretty good about hitting the mid at 31.83.5. The mid tends to attract price on a pretty consistent basis, so feeling pretty good about that target. Went ahead and exited my final position there. We did push up, hit that 31.90, and actually pushed through it a little bit, and then ended up pulling back underneath it at the end of the day. But had a decent trade for the afternoon because the ES was just a giant mess and it was really hard to trade, but we did finally get that really bullish reversal bar, gave us a nice clean setup, and we were able to catch some pretty decent profit right there towards the end of the afternoon.